Hello and welcome to the League of Extraordinary Atheists for Humanism, where we attempt to apply logic and reason to religion and politics. I'm here with my wonderful, beautiful co-host, Christy Santiago.
Oh, beautiful? Oh, me?
Oh, yes, you.
Well, thanks. Happy Friday, guys. So it's been like 7 years and I'm back. It does feel that way, right? If we miss 1 week, I feel like I haven't seen you guys in a year, and it's been more than that. So have to do a real quick, has nothing to do with our stories, but I'm sure everybody would be very happy to hear. My dad came down. I have met my dad twice in my life. When I was 15, we spent a week together, and he hadn't had a vacation in over 12 years. And he called me and said, I have a vacation coming and I'm driving to Florida to spend it with you. And he brought his 2 dogs and his wife, who I finally got to meet. And it was, it's hard to explain that feeling when you're with somebody. You don't have to say anything. You're just comfortable. You don't have to entertain them or feel like, I hope she doesn't take this wrong. I said she because I'm thinking of my mom. But it just was almost like I was raised with him and I wasn't. So that was awesome. And then I'm not gay, but my wife is. So behind my back, she went and asked permission for my hand in marriage to my dad while he was here. And of course, he's a man, but and his wife was very excited, and I couldn't figure out why they're all giddy and stuff. I'm like, God, you guys smoke a lot of weed, And then I find out we're getting married. So we got married today.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
There's that. Yeah. And I still have chronic hives. So that's the update on that.
That was like the last good news we needed, was that you were done with those.
Yes, it is.
Can't have it all, right?
So what has happened with you, Mac? Have you had any more children? Have you two figured out how that happened yet?
We found a new kitten.
I saw. Please stick with the kittens. Yes, the little black one, right?
Yeah, he got stuck in our garage, and sure.
Is he all black? All black?
All black.
You're gonna keep him, right?
I don't know yet. I don't know. There's a friend of ours who was thinking of taking him, but that turned out to be a no. But right now we're keeping him, and we need to take him to the vet yet before we have him inside all the time. Right now he's still our garage cat.
He's really little.
He is really little. He's really
do you have to bottle feed him?
No, he's 60 weeks old, and he's just he eats canned food and kibble. And he gets held most of his life because of all the children.
Name him Venom.
Oh, we named him Bucket because he prefers Bucket. And the second time we caught him, it's because he went into a bucket.
Well,
and the first time we caught him, that's the first thing he went into.
He's very cute.
It is Bucket.
He's all black. You have to keep him.
Yeah, he's really cute. He's my friend.
If you give him away, you're a traitor.
No pressure.
Okay. We
really do love him. He's awesome.
We have kitty cats, updates on family, and insurrections and secret documents, and women are like second-rate citizens.
Top secret.
Top secret, yeah.
Safe inside a skiff secret.
Well, is that what you call a bra with extra padding? top secret.
Pretty good. That's pretty good.
Or false advertisement.
Yeah.
You're like, shirt and bra
don't
came
know.
off. You're like,
See, now
Can you
that's false advertising. But applying it to the other thing we were talking about, I think it's
yeah.
less. But yes. Yes and no. As we say in Ohio, yeah, no. No, yeah.
Black and it's white. It was moving and it was completely stopped.
Yeah.
It's exactly like that, but different.
Hurry up and wait. All right. So for current events,
Yes.
or what's going on right now, people, if you excuse me, living under a rock and only get your news from us for some dumb reason, the Queen died. Long lived the Queen died. So
long live the
no, and I don't have a lot to say on that. I don't excuse me, follow the royal family very much. It is sad that the Queen died because she has a family who cared about her. She was 96. I was hoping she'd make it to at least 100. That way we could make jokes about her being centuries old, but she didn't make it that long. So we can still make those jokes, but
we still can't because the men in England's monarchy never live as long as the Queens. The Queen
she did live long.
Accomplish way more than the king.
Yes. And as if you guys will go to David Dole's channel, Rational National, I'm not sure if you watch.
He has amazing hair. Oh, I love his hair. Oh, I love his hair.
No matter what he does with it, it's always amazing. But if you go to his channel and check out his channel on the death of the Queen, that's not what it's called. Hold on, I'll just tell you what it's called. But I'm not going to link it in the video.
Rational National.
Rational. Oh yeah, but for the video name, random woman schools CNN on the Queen's death. Excuse me.
I believe I saw that.
You said you did?
I believe I saw that. Let's see. Are you pulling it up?
No, I'm not pulling it up. I just had it up already. So check that out if you want to know anything on the Queen. We're not really going to cover it here. We didn't come prepared for that.
I did.
But he's
lying.
Okay, my bad. So, but I will say, there's a lot that we can put on the British monarch that doesn't necessarily apply to the Queen. But there's some things that we can't stick on the Queen, right?
Right.
It's really a give or take, kind of like with Winston Churchill, right? There's like a lot of good, a lot of bad.
I find it fascinating, actually. I history and governments, it's a parliamentary type of government to me, because maybe we don't have one, but I love that dynamic of actually talking it out, arguing it out. Here's my reasons why, convincing each other. And I find it fascinating that before the laws changed and they gained power for the people, the proletariat, and that power got taken away from the one person chosen by Yahweh, the king or queen could have any opinions they wanted, and it didn't matter if they were wrong or right. It just was. Now, I'm not saying they were all despots. Some were semi-benevolent. There's no such thing as a benevolent king. They have complete power, so it corrupts. However, once these deals and these new laws and policies were written, now the monarchy cannot have an opinion. Now, personally at home, but they're even discouraged from talking about it at home in case, someone's nephew says, oh, well, I think she feels this way. They just cannot have an opinion. They sit in Parliament. They start it. You've seen it. They're there. She wasn't there at the end because she got sick, but they start it, and then she walks out and they go about their business, and adding many syllables to words that only have one or two, as they do. And I find it fascinating. However, just because she doesn't or he doesn't say anything there, they have they don't, their power doesn't need to be spoke of. Their power doesn't need to, they could just use innuendos, you know, or they could have one of their people drop off cash for someone and the queen said, you know, this was what this is for. Not that that happens. I'm just saying they have that much power. I am very proud of the fact that this particular queen decided that she was not going to be like her mother. You know, her mother, she was bitter. She was bitter. She even told her daughter as she was growing up, they used to worship us. Our blood, our family was chosen by God. And now, you know, we're just peasants like them. She just was beside herself that she wasn't going to be worshipped anymore. And the daughter didn't see it like that. And if she did, because I don't know that, she did such a good job. She deserves all the awards.
Yeah.
All the awards.
Yeah.
And she's salty. She's salty. I've seen her be salty to some world leaders who are total douchebags. And I wanted to totally do the proper for her because, yes, if someone tries to talk to her and she knows they're a despot, horrible person, and she goes over here to talk to this person, yeah.
Pretty great.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's all I got. I have no desire to go to the UK. And if I did, I would not be doing the tours to see that.
Right.
At all. I would ride a double-decker bus, but if I was going to go see a palace, I would go see Versailles. Just because I feel like me and Louis have a lot in common. Not the crazy part, sort of, you know, the STDs that made him lose his mind, but
it's the crazy part.
he loved intelligence and beautiful things, and put those two together, and you have a song by Nicki Minaj called WAP. Oh, you know what I think would be fun? You know what I think would be funny? If all of us wrote out all the lyrics to the song WAP and mailed it to Ben Shapiro. Nothing else, just the lyrics to WAP.
I'm sure he's gotten that.
No, from us.
No. Yeah. But I feel like that would be fun. That'd be great. I'm not against
And then his wife needs to join a group so she can learn how to have an orgasm.
That's right.
Because apparently she's never had one.
Right?
Okay.
What was that?
What was that?
Rachel just recently watched that video with Ben Shapiro going on about WAP.
He's so grossed out about it. Like, something's wrong. She needs to go to the doctor. And I'm like, oh man, his wife has
That's
never.
what jelly's for. I'm sorry.
When it's that little, I guess you don't need lube. Or maybe they still lay the sheet down and do it with the. Wait, am I making fun of? I'm taking away religious liberty right now, aren't I? Let's see. How do I feel about it? No, I'm fine.
Play the world's tiniest violin.
Then you just got two holes and you do a ghost.
Yeah.
Except for not me, because I don't want that on my face, but yeah. Okay. It's like sorbet in between meals. That was the palate cleanser.
Oh, nice.
Yes. We
Nice.
have a fun one.
Yeah.
Now, let's see, where did it go?
So while we're still in our like kind of world event kind of topic of hell world, we're gonna also Trump. We're gonna also Trump everyone else. Well, he's Trump himself. Like, so this is awesome, guys. What's going on with Donald Trump right now since the FBI raid, and Merrick Garland releasing more and more info on what they found at his Mar-a-Lago mansion.
Mm-hmm.
So, because at first Trump was like, they've raided my beautiful home. I can't believe if they could do this to me, they could do this to anyone. Which is kind of the point. One. Two.
Hold on.
Oh, yes.
Me.
Christy,
Okay.
Christy?
So multiple times I've heard, because I subject myself to OAN and Fox and all that. Multiple times I've heard, this isn't just a problem for Trump. If they can go after your president, they can come after you. And as soon as they say that, in my mind, this happens. They sure can. When you steal those documents and take them to your golf course, they're coming to you too. Like,
right.
If you steal top secret stuff, you're right. They're coming to you too. But you're not.
I explained it to my 9-year-old the other day. He said he stole
Absconded.
important papers from the White House that are only for people like the president
and the military.
Right. And he's like, oh, that's bad. I'm like, right. Right, like he gets it, yeah. And I said that, we don't know yet, but people are talking about maybe he could get arrested for it. And he's like, oh, that's like, he was kind of shocked by that. Like, right. Mm-hmm. But if you or I, buddy, had stolen something from the White House, do you think we should be arrested? He's like, oh, well, yeah, I guess. I'm like, so then he should too, right? Well, yeah. Right. So like a 9-year-old gets it. And right. Again, I just had to get the cherry on top. I had to ask him. I'm like, hey, did you know some people still think that Donald Trump is president?
Kids get it. And kids get it. They just
his response to, did you know some people still think that Donald Trump is president? Because he's obsessed with presidents right now. He was like, well, that's dumb. Just like this straightest face. I'm like, well, yeah, it is, but it just made me laugh really hard because of what I pay attention.
When you have enough kids for a basketball team.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. I do. Goodness. Okay, so Trump.
And chat says Trump is not president. He thinks he is. I would agree with you, but I also don't agree with you because he did just say on Twitter, hey, reinstate me as president.
Not on Twitter. Truth. Which is 1984 by definition.
Which is what? 1984 by definition?
The Orwell book, 1984. They'll say lies, say it's true. You need to read 1984. Yeah, he named it Truth Social, and so that every time he says something, it's a truth. Are you okay with this? This cat going up your nostril is just a Q-tip to clean your boogers. Hey, look, I married her.
Hi.
We're married now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, finally.
Super congratulations.
Thanks.
I know. I was like, how many times? Anyway, Mac here.
They say it a lot.
I know. I know.
We didn't.
I
It was
wanted
a surprise. I didn't even know I was getting married till we were getting married.
Yeah,
So
I've tried not to tell her like right away because you know how she is.
yeah, she's like the only way to do it is
I
to
was
trap
thinking
her.
of trying to find a flight, and I'm just like, I don't think I can do this.
Oh,
You'll have to come spend the
I don't think I
weekend.
can do
we
this
might
fast
plan
enough.
something for like January
Yeah.
because
You
Isabel's
said
gonna be
what now?
moving. We're gonna plan something for like January
Okay,
because
cool.
Isabel's moving
Yes.
and she wants something for she wants us to have a little wedding and stuff before she
Right.
moves.
Okay. So kids or no kids?
Well, it's not gonna be very many people that will be.
Okay. So the kids.
Yeah,
will
we
be
can't
fine.
bring that many kids and cats anyways. It would probably just be us.
Oh,
Yeah.
if it's just adults, that'll be fun. Yeah.
Ah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. After a few drinks, he's putting my wedding dress on.
Okay.
You think I need drinks for that?
Yeah, I was like, this probably needs like an ice cube soda or something.
I don't remember
We're supposed to
where.
Serious and talk about serious stuff.
Okay,
Bill.
I'm sorry to
I think-
interrupt.
Yeah. Well,
Wanted to
I'll end this
introduce myself.
conversation. I'll end this conversation with I think it's a quote from Adventure Time. I'll do anything if you say my name 3 times.
Adventure
Back.
time.
Back.
Yes. For me, it's
All right.
Rick
Damn
and
it.
Morty and Big Mouth.
Okay, go back to your stuff.
Big mouth.
Olivia.
Big Dick Boy.
Congratulations, Christy's wifey. All
Yes,
right. Ryan
congratulations.
Stevens, welcome. Welcome to the live chat. All right.
Welcome.
Okay. So we've gone through Trump, we've gone through Queen. I mean, Trump stuff. Okay. Real quick, the only real update that you might not have heard, again, if you just you only get your news from us. There are so many other better places. This is just a great place to go to talk
If
about.
you only get your news from us,
we love
go
you.
ahead and hit me up on a Monday, Tuesday. I don't care. And I will make sure that you get 3 videos. Let's say 3 days a week, 3 videos, just those 3 days. So other days you get none, and there'll be enough to keep you informed. But you have to let me know, because
There you go.
I love doing that. I'm already watching them anyway. And I do that for a couple other people. Not that they ask, they just need to know.
Yeah, we should add more people to a thought bubble, and
Yes.
and
And
just feed people
face-
our information.
wait, yeah, no, our Facebook, the LEAH Facebook, there are quite a few people there that have, hey, where did you find that? And at the same time, later on say, I'm so glad you introduced me to Mike Figueredo, or whatever it might be, second thought, because they didn't have access to that information before. They did, they just didn't know what to look for. So maybe I will make a list of must watch. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Of channels that must be watched.
What we really need to do is use that Facebook.
I do.
Right? You just use that more often. Just post more videos in there, more often.
Yeah.
Because we have over 1,000 members on our Facebook page, and
Yeah.
why don't we have 1,000 subscribers? We have
Because
800. We're actually doing
We
fantastic.
talk about things that are, I'm
Like
gonna move.
sunglasses. Polaroid.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was bad. I set myself up for it.
Let's see.
His president.
Very uncomfortable here. Oof.
So yeah, here I'm gonna go ahead and post this in our live chat real quick. If you are not part of our Facebook page group, click here, please, and join in. Keep updated. And Smitty says, I get my news from Secular Talk, Humanist Report, and LEAH Podcast. We appreciate being in.
Yes.
We're both
love
turning us up a little much. I get that, but it still feels good.
I read a lot. I like Bad Empanada.
Oh yeah. Yes, I do as well. I see you post something from Brian Tyler Cohen recently, yesterday. And then who's the dude who's always posting stories? I can't remember his name right off. I'm trying to scroll down real quick because this is important. He's been contributing to our page for a couple of years now.
Oh, a doctor, right?
Rick.
Yep.
Rick Snedeker? Is that right? Snedeker? I feel
I
like
would have to pull it up. But yeah, he contributes a lot. And I learn a lot.
Yeah, he's really awesome. So check out Rick's posts if you.
It's a great page to hang out and learn, ask people questions. It's not a debating page, but Mac has a page and he'll debate your uncle's toenail if it wants to debate.
I don't debate toenails. I debate about toenails though. How long should they be before the gross? We'll have that discussion after the show. So, all right. What's next? What is next? I don't think we should do any more Hell World. We should move on.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I think I know what's next. We have my topic next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So excuse me. I have relearned about something I forgot about or didn't really dive into. The quiet quitting movement has been going on for a little while now. But it's been getting a little more attention again recently. Like there was a video posted like today, even about it on like a local news program. And it's really this topic really is kind of polarizing. Obviously, because everything in politics is. But if you don't know what quiet quitting is, it's where you still go to work. You don't quit, but you just stop giving it that 200% that everyone kind of expects from you, right? You just do maybe 100% of your job.
Yeah, everything that's expected of you.
Yeah, everything that's expected of you, but nothing more, right? You do your job to a T, but then you don't like write any other letters, right? You clock out, your boss texts you 5 minutes after, hey, I needed to ask you a question, and you don't respond until 9 a.m. or 9:01 after you've clocked in again, right? That's a good example of quiet quitting. And I think it's a really wonderful idea. And if you are not happy in your job or if you feel underappreciated, I feel like it really is a really good protest move in that sense. So I wanted to go over real quick the YouGov poll that was done on it. Because it was done just about a week ago.
Oh, in the middle of the night.
YouGov wants to give me cookies.
I was just giving you music while you looked for it.
I love it. Thank you. Keep going.
In the jungle, the mighty jungle. Christy folks tonight.
Every night. Every night I see you. Right? I don't want to put too much on. Okay, so we have, according to this new YouGov poll, on people who agree with the quiet quitting. There's a few different breakdowns here. It was really interesting. Okay, so the most interesting one was about Zoomers. What Zoomers think about quiet quitting is about 65% of them are all like, yeah, we're cool with that and we're doing it.
Right.
and about 23% of them are kind of against it. And then if you go to boomers, it is the exact opposite. It is like 64% disagree with it, and
Yeah.
low 20% agree with it. It's the largest like discrepancy between not classes, but just between any two groups. It's the age
Well,
group
one
that
is severely more educated in many different areas, and they understand that they are selling their labor for a wage, and by doing everything that's expected of them to the but like nobody will be unhappy, everything was done right, anything extra is doing their labor for free, and that's slavery, and I understand that they're not down with it. The boomer could say, well, you're never going to climb the ladder. I'm sorry, most of those jobs, they're not picking the person that stays late and kisses ass and does all that. They're just not. The person who doesn't miss work and does everything that is expected of them, and their name isn't always being called because they're just over there, that they're gonna, hey, let's give them a raise. Not that quiet quitters want that raise. And I think it needs to be called something else. It really pisses me off. Just like defund the police. What a horrible, we need to be better at communicating. Because we're not saying defund the police, we're saying here's all the funding for it. Let's take this and do mental health. And you guys still get the same amount. Let's add more funding to add more things. It's the same thing with quiet quitting. It's a horrible name.
This relates to something that I like to say often, at least on my personal channel, is labels hurt as much as they help. So ow.
Sorry, it was a label.
I knew it. God damn it, I knew it.
I'm French. It was a label. I shop at Target.
Goose You beat me on the dad jokes tonight.
Yeah. So, what happens when you get married?
All right, so no, but yeah, what you just said about the quiet quitting, about people getting raises who put more in to the company. I've heard that response from a lot of like CEOs and employers and whatnot, who go on like CNN and talk about it. Right. But what they want people to forget is what the labor market is right now.
Those CEOs could not name one person that works at a register at one of their stores. Like those CEOs that go on CNN and Fox. If you said, hey, the store, I'm in Hillsborough County, the store on Hillsborough and Lois, that CVS right there, who's your favorite employee? They don't know. You're nobody to them. Right.
They might know the store management.
I love that the story is before mine because they tie in so well. It's almost like they marry each other.
Oh.
Okay, I'm probably done now.
That was good.
Silly.
Yeah. We'll tie it together in a nice little knot.
We'll tie the knot.
Tie the knot. You got it.
Got it.
So yeah, it's just worth noting that right now it really is a workers' market. So if this is something that you want to do, I wanted to relate it to something else that we've talked about, which is Damn it, I forgot the name of that movement too. It's the Christy, you're gonna have to help me think of the name of it. It's the Gen Strike. Gen Strike.
What is it?
Just the general strike.
Oh, I am down.
Yeah.
I'm about a general
And
strike.
quiet quitting goes along with that super well.
That's what in their minds, but it's like the exact same, but completely different.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a different, like, I feel
General
like it's like a
strike
It's
is
a
like
branch.
polar opposite of what quiet quitting is. Polar
You think
opposite.
it's polar opposite?
They're not even in the same book.
You don't think so?
I know so for a fact.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
A general
Well,
strike means that every single person, Dunkin' Donuts, McDonald's, railways, post office, grocery stores, schools, everybody strikes. Nobody goes to work. Right. So a quiet quitting, everybody's still working. They're just not doing more than they're supposed to. Yeah.
I feel like this is like, so
a general strike will
saying.
get things done in a matter of hours to days. Quiet quitting, you could do that for years and no one would know.
I feel like it slows down production though, doesn't it?
It what?
If enough people do it, it really slows down production, right?
No, if you're doing, no. Quiet quitting doesn't mean you do less. You do everything that's expected of you every single day. So everything that is needed by your boss gets done every single day. You just don't go the extra mile and say, oh, I did a little extra of this and a little, you're not getting paid for it. So, and if you can only move laterally, this way, you can't move up. Why don't you just go home and spend time with your kids?
Right. And I get that. And I mean, I guess the way that I look at it and the way like how I work at work is quiet quitting to me is like cutting my production in half.
Yeah, that's not quiet quitting. That's not quiet quitting. Well, they need to name it something else. They need to name it something else.
Yeah.
It needs to be called my labor is worth a wage. You pay me this wage for this labor. I signed, that's my job. Anything extra that you don't plan on paying me for is not part of what I am giving my labor for a wage for. So if we could name that something, it wouldn't be quiet quitting. It's just some idiot named it that because they were stoned and it's funny. I don't know that for a fact. I just know it to be true.
Fair enough. I still feel like it's
a general strike. Yeah.
I love the gen strike idea. It's just not hard enough to
well, in order to do a general strike, the people who are in charge of it are doing it correctly. It's in order to have or to carry out a general strike, you couldn't say we want to have a general strike January 2023. We don't have enough time. In order to get ready for a general strike, if we wanted to have it at the end of 2024, we would have had to start working on it mid-2019. And that's exactly what they did. That's what's happening right now. So I don't know how long many places will stay closed down, but I mean, if nothing's happening, people step in because things have to happen, and it's unfortunate. It's a peaceful way to protest. It does fuck up people who have nothing to do with that industry, or it fucks up their day, of course. However, it's supposed to be inconvenient because if it didn't cause any ruckus, then nobody would notice and nothing would happen. So as long as no one's getting hurt and it makes headlines, that's a good thing. So that's how I feel about the quiet quitting. Nobody's getting hurt and it's making headlines. I just wish for the love of everything good, people learned how to communicate. No one's quitting. They're just quietly agreeing to themselves that their self-worth is what they signed that piece of paper. I signed a piece of paper saying I would work for $17.85 an hour. And these would be my tasks. So I come to work, I do those tasks for those hours, and I don't do anything else. That's quiet quitting.
Yeah.
Instead of, like working 70 hours instead of 40, so that you could, network and meet people and move up the ladder. And it does work, but also for a lot of people, it just, there's nothing left. You're exhausted. You don't want to talk to people, and it's not guaranteed. And all those hours are wasted that you will never get paid for. And a lot of times when you're doing stuff like that, networking, you're spending your own money. Here, let me buy you a drink. Let me take you to, no. And if you don't know 100% that that's the career that you just live, dream, and breathe, don't do it. Don't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
There is that. I mean, don't just
Yeah,
do it because
the
it
way
has
you
a-
said it.
a
The
half
way you
pitch
said it. Wait, how did you say it? Quiet quitting to me is going in and only doing half the shit I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's someone who doesn't have a job anymore very soon. They
Right.
didn't
But I
have
mean,
to quit. They were quietly fired.
I get that. But I mean, because I do a lot of extra, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I do a lot of extra. Right.
Yes,
So,
Stacy does too. A lot.
So just doing what I'm just required to, I
Uh-huh.
feel like would be about me doing about half of my work. and it would be,
Yeah.
it would buckle.
The reason why this new generation is saying it's so important is they found that even though they have to be at work for so many hours, they have more time to like, hey, my favorite, even though I have to be stocking groceries or whatever, this is my favorite song. Actually, when I go to the bathroom, I'm going to set up the next 15 songs. Like the little things that you don't have time for that make your day a little bit happier. Or actually, I got everything done. Do you mind if I go outside and call my daughter? You don't have time for stuff like that. Just the little tiny things that, and you won't be so exhausted because you're trying to be the best. Not that you're getting paid. People should get paid for the effort and work they put in, and that's not how it works. And until it does, quiet quitting is the name of the game.
Yeah, and I get
it needs a new name.
I agree, and I think that yes, it could definitely use a new name. But the people who are quiet quitting are the people, or are a lot of the people who are going to be very very cool with and want to partake in a general strike, right? I feel like this is a good stepping stone.
Yes.
In the correct direction.
Yes.
And that's why I brought it up today. Because it made me think of that and just like, yeah, this is a step in the right direction, right? Because of the reason that people are doing it. Again, like you said, because people are realizing their worth outside of work, because their worth isn't just what they can produce for someone else, right?
Right.
You like, it's like just turning off that work brain as soon as you clock out and just walk out.
I agree.
So, and it's good, and it is a step in the right direction. And on top of that, even as of, I think it was like just a decade ago, the approval, like the public perception of unions was at about 50%. And right now they're at like 65% more, which is awesome because everyone's realizing that you don't find fulfillment at work. You don't get fulfilling work just because you get a college degree like you were supposed to. Just this whole labor market is pretty fucked. We weren't
Yes.
like the American dream for millennials and Zoomers and even some Gen Xers is not what it was for Boomers and before. It's quite different, and it's because our market's really fucked up.
Unfettered capitalism,
Right.
letting pretty much villains gamble with people's money.
Yeah, and people are realizing that. That's why I liked these stories that I listen to.
November is coming. You guys watch Game of Thrones?
No.
Okay. Game of Thrones, they had the throne with all the swords, and before a really big season, like everybody couldn't wait for the next season, it said November is coming. But it's been redone for Roe, and it says November is coming. So I do know that in many red states, voter registration for people who have never registered before is tenfold.
Really?
Tenfold. Yes. And females is the tenfold. Male is anywhere between 4 and 7-fold.
Yep.
November is coming. Mm-hmm.
It's going to be an interesting year with everything that's gone down in the last few months.
I'm very cynical. If Ginny Thomas doesn't go to prison, what's the point? What's this Law and Order thing that they're always spouting? I couldn't have done any of those things. I'd be in prison right now. Yeah. I mean,
just like some of the stories. I mean, we need to go into that topic more. So.
I will be covering how I think just our Supreme Court very soon. If you ask people from, name a country, Italy, Germany, Lithuania, Zambia, most of them have no idea who their Supreme Court justices are. It's very political here.
Yeah.
It's a popularity test, like high school. Only the winner gets to make the laws that rule over everyone in perpetuity.
Yeah.
So I'm not a violent person. I'm a humanist. But if he fell because the shoelaces were tied together in a pothole, and then like a big crow came by, and then like an alligator, I would be fascinated about the wildlife I just saw, but I wouldn't cry.
Well, if we do go into that topic, I call dibs on the 10-year-old rape victim from Ohio, my home state.
Yes.
That was a crazy one for me. So I will cover that when we get to it.
Good. And here in Florida, a girl, 17, went to court because she wanted to terminate the pregnancy that she was obviously not ready for. And the judge said, because she had a C average, that she is not smart enough to make the choice to terminate the pregnancy.
But she's smart enough to raise a kid.
Well, any old idiot can have a baby.
Yeah.
All right, guys, you ready to get some education?
Yes. Let's move on to Lucky Marks.
Yes, let's see. Put that up. Okay. It's really hot, so. And probably I need this. Oh, geez. What the heck? Can't see. Okay. Get off me here.
Ah, this glasses.
Oh, hey, you guys. So, do you know who was really into Karl Marx, who's a part of our Congress? It wasn't AOC. It wasn't Bernie Sanders. It was
Donald
Abraham
Trump.
Lincoln. Yeah, definitely Donald Trump.
Because he was in
Yeah.
Congress. He's the king of Congress.
He's the king of something. It's not
Correct.
reading. Abraham Lincoln and Karl Marx, the two men weren't just friendly. They influenced each other's policies. So I want to show you this picture of these two. Let's see, I'll cover up this. Whoa, there we go. I know it's really hard. Marx and Lincoln. Okay,
We can
so
see it. That was good.
Karl Marx is on the left, obviously. This is that photo is 1867, and President Abraham Lincoln, 1865. 2 years difference right there. Let's see. The Library of Congress has all these letters and he has his own library, Lincoln. And these letters used to be available, not to touch, but to view. And then the Red Scare, we put "In God We Trust" on everything, and then all of a sudden those had to go to the archives because we can't have our beloved, very progressive president, by the way. Okay, so set the scene. It was December 1861. It was a Tuesday, and it was midday. High noon, we like to call that when we wear cowboy hats. I don't. I just wanted to say that. So, high noon when President Abraham Lincoln set his first annual message. This annual message that he had just started would later become what we know as the State of the Union. And he said this message to the House and Senate, just as it's done today. By the next day, no, there's no Twitter. There's none of that. There were printing presses. So by the next day, within 24 hours, all 7,000 words of the manuscript were published in newspapers across the country, including the Confederate South. This was Lincoln's first chance to speak to the nation at length since his inaugural address. So he really, wanted to, this is me coming in as president and ceremonious, but now I'm going to tell you what I be's about. And he does. Abraham Lincoln railed against the disloyal citizens. Hold on, I want you guys to imagine and see the correlation between Trump's insurrectionists and how Abraham Lincoln is talking about these disloyal citizens. So he railed against the disloyal citizens that were rebelling against the Union, our nation. He rebelled against the Union, that touted the strength of the Army and Navy. And then after he strengthened the Army and Navy, he updated Congress on his new budget. So he told them how he felt about them. He told the Army what they're going to get. He told the Navy we're going to be moving and doing good stuff. And Congress, here's our budget to do it all. People were like, wait, damn, he thought about this for a minute. For his eloquent closer, though, He chose not a soliloquy, there we go, on unity or freedom, as most presidents do, but an 800-word meditation on what the Chicago Tribune subtitled Capital versus Labor. I'll say that again. Capital versus labor. My little heart goes pitter patter. Quote, labor is prior to and independent of capital, end quote. The country's 16th president said. Furthermore, quote, capital is the only, I'm sorry, I messed that up. Capital is only the fruit of labor and could never have existed if labor had not first existed. Labor is the superior of capital and deserves much. Yeah.
Just that first sentence and then each one successively.
Yes,
That's
so good.
That's pretty base.
For a conservative Republican president, remember
From
back then they
1855.
switched. Right, and they switched. Yeah, very base.
That's pretty incredible and well said.
So, quote again, capital is only the fruit of labor and could never have existed if labor had not first existed. Labor is the superior of capital and deserves much the higher consideration. If you think that sounds something like something Karl Marx would write, well, that might be because Abraham Lincoln was regularly reading Karl Marx as well as communicating with him. Now, this is going to be a little shocking, but this is the next sentence. Our ex-President Trump has added a new arrow to his quiver of attacks as of late, charging that a vote for any Democrat in the next election is a vote for the rise of radical socialism, and that Representative AOC and other congresswomen of color, of course, are a bunch of communists. Right, exactly. Yet the first Republican president for whom Trump has expressed great admiration for was surrounded by socialists and looked up to them and to them for counsel. Of course, Lincoln was not a socialist, nor a communist, nor a Marxist, just as House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, a Democrat from California, and Senate Minority Leader Schumer aren't either. AOC and Senator Bernie Sanders identify as Democratic Socialists. However, they are in fact social democrats by definition. But Lincoln and Marx, born only 9 years apart, were contemporaries. They had many mutual friends, read each other's work, critiqued each other's work, helped each other in their work, and in 1865 began exchanging letters. When Lincoln served his sole term in Congress in the late 1840s, the young lawyer from Illinois became close friends with Horace Greeley, a fellow Whig, because it was the Whig parties. It was the Whig Party before it was the Republican Party. So a fellow Whig who served briefly alongside him. Greeley was better known as the founder of the New York Tribune, the newspaper largely responsible for transmitting the ideas that formed the Republican Party in 1854. And what were those ideas? What were those ideals and ideas? They were anti-slavery, pro-worker, overtly socialist, according to John Nichols, author of the book, The S Word, A Short History of an American Tradition, Socialism. The New York Tribune championed the redistribution of land in the American West to the poor and emancipated slaves, and greenly welcomed the disapproval of those who championed free markets over the interests of the working class, a class he recognized as including both the oppressed slaves of the South and the degraded industrial laborers of the North. Across the Atlantic, another man linked fates with the enslaved and wage workers, Karl Marx. Upon publishing the Communist Manifesto with Friedrich Engels in 1848, the German philosopher sought refuge in London after a failed uprising in what was then the German Confederation. Hundreds of thousands of German radicals immigrated to the United States in this same time period, filling industrial jobs in the North and joining anti-slavery groups and unions, of course. Marx had once considered going west himself, to Texas, actually, according to a historian named Robin Blackburn. An Unfinished Revolution, Karl Marx and Abraham Lincoln was the name of that book by Robin Blackburn, by the way, if anyone was interested. And then Marx was intensely interested in the plight of American slaves. In January 1860, he told Engels, everybody knows that's his right-hand man, he told Engels that the two biggest things happening in the world were, quote, on the one hand, the movement of the slaves in America started by the death of John Brown, and on the other, the movement of the serfs in Russia, end quote. The day John Brown was hanged for his trial on Harper's Ferry, if you guys are interested, just type that in. I'm not going into any of that now, but yeah, he equated Southern slaveholders with European aristocrats because, yeah, Blackburn writes and thought and ending chattel slavery would, quote, not destroy capitalism, but it would create conditions far more favorable to organizing and elevating labor, whether white or black. That's how he felt about capitalism and slavery. Marx, who was also friends with Charles A. Dana, an American socialist fluent in German, who was the managing editor of the New York Tribune in 1852, Dana hired Marx to be the newspaper's British correspondent. Over the next decade, Marx wrote nearly 500 articles for the paper. Many of his contributions became unsigned columns appearing on the front page as the publication's official position. Marx later borrowed liberally from his New York Tribune writings for his book, Das Kapital, according to Nichols. I mean, like, what? Like a lot of nascent Republicans, Lincoln was an avid reader. And he was an avid reader of the Tribune itself. It's nearly guaranteed that in the 1850s, Abraham Lincoln was regularly reading Marx on a daily, because he wrote, and that's, wow. I love it. In 1860, two major factors helped to propel Lincoln. A one-term congressman and a country lawyer, most known for losing a Senate campaign to the Republican nomination for presidency. First, the support of former German revolutionaries who had become key players in the Republican Party. And second, the support of the party's newspaper, the Tribune. Once Lincoln took office, his alliance with socialists did not stop. Dana left the Tribune to become Lincoln's eyes and ears in the War Department, following along with the troop movements and telling Lincoln what he thought of the generals, a socialist. Right, okay, that's amazing. A soldier working in the telegraph office later wrote that, quote, Lincoln waited eagerly for Dana's long dispatches, end quote. and Greenlee continued to urge Lincoln to take a harder line against slavery, to make the Civil War not just about preserving this union and making it one big country, but about abolition. Marx did the same thing in the pages of the Tribune because he wanted Lincoln to end slavery. In 1863, they got what they wanted when Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. Lincoln moved to end slavery on New Year's Day, 1863. It went on for 3 more years. We know about Juneteenth. They didn't tell anybody in Texas for years. Right, okay. In January 1865, Karl Marx wrote to Abraham Lincoln on behalf of the International Workingmen's Association, a group for socialists, communists, anarchists, and trade unions, to congratulate the American people upon their re-election of this great man. He said, quote, an oligarchy of 300,000 slaveholders, end quote, had defiled the republic, and that, quote, the working men of Europe feel sure that as the American War of Independence initiated a new era of ascendancy for the middle class, for the working American, for the American anti-slavery war will do for the working class, is what we hope. A few weeks later, a reply came via Charles Francis Adams, son of former President John Quincy Adams, grandson of former President John Adams, and U.S. ambassador to Britain under Abraham Lincoln. He told Karl Marx that Lincoln had received his message, and it was, quote, accepted by him with a sincere and anxious desire that he may be able to prove himself not unworthy of the confidence which has been recently extended to him by his fellow citizens and by so many of the friends of humanity and progress throughout the world. Notably, Adams indicated, Notably, Adams indicated Lincoln considered Marx and company his friends. He went on to say that the Union derives new encouragement to persevere from the testimony to the working men of Europe, saying solidarity with American, the working men of America and the working men of Europe. Both letters ran in newspapers. So they're writing letters to each other, and these letters are getting published in newspapers for everyone to read. Both letters ran in newspapers across Britain and the United States. Marx was delighted, telling his best mate Engels, it created, quote, such a sensation that the bourgeoisie in their private clubs were shaking their heads at it, which, would be clutching their pearls. Lincoln also met with the New York chapter of the Workingmen's Association, telling its members in 1864, quote, the strongest bond of human sympathy outside of the family relation should be one uniting all working people of all nations and all tongues and all kindreds, which is perhaps a more eloquent rendering of Karl Marx's famous rallying cry, workers of the world, unite. Lincoln never took up the mantle of socialism. He believed in the system of wage labor, even as he proposed reforms to it. Marx rejected it as another form of slavery, but Lincoln certainly viewed socialists as allies and needed them so that capitalism didn't tilt too far one way. It was indisputable that the Republican Party had, at its founding, a red streak. Communism. The Republican Party had a communist streak. Though this fact may be little known to many now, it hasn't been a secret to other figures in American history. When the socialist orator and frequent presidential candidate Eugene V. Debs, my heart, made a campaign stop in Springfield, Illinois in 1908, he told the crowd, quote, the Republican Party was once red. Lincoln was a revolutionary, end quote. It was also noted by the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. in February 1968 at a celebration of the life of W.E.B. Du Bois at Carnegie Hall. King brought up that the co-founder of the NAACP became a communist in his later years. Quote, "It is worth noting," King said, "that Abraham Lincoln warmly welcomed the support of Karl Marx during the Civil War and corresponded with him freely. Our irrational, obsessive anti-communism has led us into too many quagmires to be retained as if it were a mode of scientific thinking," end quote. And then there's all the sources and all the sources and all the sources, and woo, sweating.
That's awesome. I learned a lot in that one.
You did.
Oh yeah, that was great. You need to send me your transcript, even if it's handwritten.
I'm being Beyonce. Yes, I will. I'll send all of it, and I will add it to the, once it's on YouTube, I'll put it underneath so that everyone can read it for themselves.
Oh, great.
And then there's letters. You can actually read the letters. Oh. Excuse me so much. Sorry.
That was me. I did it.
Oh my God.
I can throw my bird all the way to Tampa. That said, that was really awesome. It's really quite amazing to have that example of revisionist history over the last 20 years.
Right.
You don't even learn about that because in just this last decade, especially from like PragerU, like they really like to brag that like, hey, you guys are always complaining
they call Biden
Republicans,
a commie.
but,
when they call Biden a commie, I'm like, oh, seriously?
Yeah, there's that too, but that happens like after every.
I mean, Bernie Sanders isn't even, yes, he calls himself a democratic socialist, but he's not. By the definition of social democrat, that's the one he falls on. I mean, you can call yourself whatever you want. I'll still call you what you want me to call you. However, your ideology and policies align with a social democrat. So
right. And I mean, most people don't know the difference.
Unfortunately,
just, when you do, you want it to be right.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like, but like the last 10 years, especially, sources like PragerU have been bragging about, we had Lincoln on our side. Also, the Civil War wasn't fought over slavery. It was for states' rights. About slavery.
Yeah, and they like to use the more people have been killed under communism than any other. And I'm just like, sir, more people have been killed under capitalism because why do you think we have people who we have entire groups of lobbyists just to buy killing machines. We don't hand them out to the prettiest people. Oh,
it's just, I feel like that's a really good story to like have under your belt for like conversations like that.
I also get a lot of, well, I don't know why you would like communism or they're dissing anything because they think they've already built a straw man of what I believe. And then they end it with, so you're okay with a dictator. You're okay with a strong man. I never said that actually. That's what Marxism is. And so calmly, before I didn't used to be calm, but calmly I say, you know what? I've read everything I can get my hands on, and not once has Marx or Engels or any of the people that I look up to mentioned anything about having to have someone at the top. Actually, they take all the power away from a small group and it goes to the people. Can you please show me a source so that if you're right, then I don't want to follow it. I don't hear
Yeah.
anything back
So,
from I don't hear
honestly,
anything back from them because
Here's-
there isn't any.
Here's a really good way to rephrase what Christy just taught all of us into a conversation. Or in a rebuttal for a conversation is, yeah. I hear your example of communism. If you would like to hear a really good example of communism that Marx was all about, because a lot of people like to say it's where the government takes your shit and spreads it amongst everyone.
Right.
Okay, we'll go with that. We'll actually say yes.
See, I
There was
can't.
a
I
time-
say, show
There was a
me.
time where the U.S. government took military action and took everyone's slaves away.
Actually,
And tried to set them free.
Alaska right now, the oil in Alaska
Yeah.
is owned.
By
The means of production is owned by the people. And when I get asshats arguing to me, well, then you want the government to take everything. Again, kind sir, please show me a source where any of these people you're claiming advocate for a government, because they actually advocate for the workers owning the, and again, I never hear anything back from them.
Right. And I'm one of those who I'm not anti-government.
No,
I'm for the people owning the government.
right.
You know, like actually having control over it.
The government is only as good as we the people make it.
I want the government to be a tool, not an entity.
Finland,
Since
yeah, Scandinavian policies. Yeah.
there's different ways to govern. And I like how you read Lincoln's words, right? You guys want to rewind and just listen to those first 5 sentences. And
Yeah.
then you said he wasn't a socialist, he wasn't a communist, because no, he was talking about labor. He
Right.
was saying that labor
And those things weren't things yet.
No, precedes
They were
capitalism.
just becoming things,
And
you know? They
and
weren't,
yeah,
it wasn't
and-
like a thing yet. It
So
was
they
it
were-
was becoming contemporaries, that's what they called them. Yeah.
they were contemporaries.
Yeah.
And
Like
he was
Marx
just
didn't
arguing-
know that we would be calling his ideology Marxism. He didn't know any of that. He was just,
No.
you
No.
know.
But
Someday they'll be saying
the part-
Marxism, Macisms.
maybe.
Macism.
Macism. That's a different.
Bless.
We won't talk about that. But no, we I like, not just because that's not what they were calling it yet. They weren't there yet, but just because of the fact that you can talk about labor being more important than capital and not be a socialist or a communist. That doesn't lead you really. I mean,
Right.
it opens up that possibility to that's what you could label yourself, but it's more than just saying that labor is more important than capital.
Right.
And that's a different way to excuse me, look at it. Don't be so quick to label, because there are a lot of labels out there.
Actually, what you're describing is a healthy mixed economy. So there's so many healthy mixed economy. We have socialized policies when it comes to, we think everyone should have healthcare and education. And then we have capitalist policies when we think everyone should, I'm speaking in general, not for myself. Everyone should have to, train for something they want to do. To me, I agree with that part, just not the going in so much debt to get it and then working for it. There's nothing wrong with working for something, whether it's coins or whatever it may, as a human species, we've decided on something as a currency. And then that currency helps you take, I have no problems with that, as long as it is a very healthy mixed economy. Like, even if I would be okay with having capitalism being just such a small part, but I would be fine with having capitalism being small parts all over forever. Like, I want to buy a pizza. Well, you have to pay to have pizza delivered. That's not part of, living in a country that has only socialist policies. You'd still have to, do those things. So that's what people don't understand. They think it's black or white. You're going to take everything away, or it's not. It just means everyone gets the same healthcare that your rich ass has.
So a lot of, especially socialists, right?
Those eyes.
Those socialists that
Got pretty eyeballs.
elect online. We really look at things at a humanist lens. So I would say most socialists in our camp would agree with the sentiment that we don't want essentials on the market, right? Maybe not tomatoes on the market, but pizza or pizza sauce. That's a convenience. That's something you can make yourself, right? You can go through the hard work of doing that, but you don't need to like regulate your tomatoes. Or maybe we should take Nestle and say, hey, you can't sell bottled water. Or maybe you can. Maybe you can sell. Yeah, because you are selling the convenience of having it in a bottle, right? But the water part, that's a human right. So we're going to have to regulate that, right? And it's kind of like city water. Like you pay for that, and the upkeep gets taken care of through taxes, unless it's privately owned, and it shouldn't be. Right, it should be paid for through taxes, and it doesn't mean.
I agree.
It doesn't mean that what you pay is going to go up necessarily, because like if the government owns the means of productions, that means if you have a government that is not so corrupt, that means you own the water.
We are the government.
The water that you use and you drink. Instead of
it just means that the resources that are in the state that the citizens reside in, those resources benefit those citizens. Just like Alaska, they have oil. And so Alaska did the most socialist thing you could possibly ever do. They nationalized that resource. And so as they sell it and export it, every citizen gets a check each month. Go Republican Alaska. And ask any one of them that, listen, they don't want to hurt nature. They're all very conscious up there because of where they live. However, every single one of them is for further exploration. You know why? They are personally invested. That's why. So, and before that story is over, I want to tell you something really funny. Okay, so I'm listening to conservative people that have like 4 brain cells together, all of them together. And they're saying things like, forgiving these student loans, it's just you're bribing voters. Of course, he's going to have all these voters now because all these giveaways. And I was like, did they finally understand? Do they finally get it? Because I think they just understood that if you do things for the people that you were put there by, the people put you there to do things for us, when you actually do things for us, and it works out. That's how democracy works. And then they
Right.
didn't.
So-
And then they didn't
so-
get it.
And you're right. So the Democratic representatives don't get it so much, but the Republican representatives absolutely do get it. And you can see this just by a couple years ago. Why did Donald Trump want his name on all of those checks? So everyone could see that he gave you that money.
Right.
That's why. And it's smart. It's good. It's
I mean,
good
they all hate
campaign.
the injection too, and it was made under his warp speed.
Yeah. It absolutely was.
I can't. Yeah, I just,
Well, that's a wrap.
yeah.
It is
If
now
there was
tomorrow.
ever a need to have some sort of a means test to hold an office to represent people, it would be because Donald Trump. And I'm not saying, like, I'm not even being uppity about it. Just basic. Show me geography. Show me, you know, a little bit about history and I don't know, economics. Just, you're gonna run a country who's the most powerful country in the world. I think I need to know that you know what the fuck you're doing, not staring into the sun. You remember that?
Of course I do. That was his brightest idea.
Ah!
Well,
Okay, guys, November is coming. November is coming.
but not before
It-
soup comes.
Well, yeah, my birthday's next week or the week after. September 29th.
That was the first time we like talked mano a mano.
Hmm
Remember that?
I do.
Which birthday
I
was
do.
that? Remember?
38, 39. Hold on. We're here. 41.
41. That sounds right.
Yeah, I had to count from when we moved in. Like 38. It might have been 40, actually.
It was 40 or 41.
Mhm. Definitely it was 41. And then 42, and then 43, and then 44, 45. And I'm about to be 46.
We've been
So,
talking for 4 years.
yeah. Smoky. That's what it says.
Color, smoke.
Oh, and I don't know, you guys.
All
It
right.
has been, look at this. Well over 3 years. Hold on, let me get
That's
back in the
crazy.
game. It's
It's 3
funny.
years since you started throwing that out.
Okay. Got all these like lines. This part
You
makes
still
me
got that
laugh.
like reverse rogue thing going on.
Yes, hold on. My lid fell. Yep,
That's crazy.
it is.
This Craig
When I
created
wake up-
way right there.
Yeah. It's really pretty. I had some little girl go like this and then pull her mom. Her mom leaned down. I don't know what she said, but she was obviously talking about my hair. I wanted to go just to see what she was doing.
Should have.
All right, guys. I love you so much. Nacha Witness. We love you so much. So much. And, you know, there's a lot of effed up craziness. So the best thing you guys can do is stay humanist, for godless sakes. Nanu, nanu. Nanu, nanu.
I always forget that's like behind me.
Yeah. We're probably still live, so that's the funny part. Still live.
Nacho went to the bathroom.
That's hilarious. What are you gonna do, you know? You're welcome.
What's coming
Look.
next time?